best. You got them four abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws. Dirt Racing will be available September 27th. Pre-order your copy today.
Stadiums, minimum sold out. Mind, body, and soul. Got a heart full of gold. They can never hold me down. I keep my name on the low. How wild, my opponent been trying to chase for miles. The distance between looking like the West now. Get my stamina adding up from setback, standing up. Crazy, they see me and start pulling out their cameras. Tell them grab your pen, I'm giving lessons out. Getting bread, you won't worry about impression counts. Nah, you got a clue, ain't even a single sense about having potential and trying to pull the legend.
This is the ENASCAR College iRacing Series.
Big dreams to a big problem.
The cars may be virtual, but the racing and scholarships are real.
Big dreams to a big problem. We got big bags, we got big problems. They been mad that we ain't got it. I turn a big dream to a big problem. I turn a big dream to a big problem. We got big
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to iRacing's coverage of the fourth race in the 2022 ENASCAR College iRacing Series, powered by NASCAR League, the Logitech G140 live for the virtual Homestead-Miami Speedway in Homestead, Florida. James Pike alongside Kenneth Bueno and Taylor Burris this evening. And gentlemen, we are back for the ENASCAR College iRacing Series. It is bigger, it is badder, it is better than ever before, and I'm excited to get back with the fall semester of racing, Kenneth.
Yeah, same here, James. It's been a while since we've done our last ENASCAR College iRacing Series race, but what a way to bring it back. Here in the latter half of September, we've got a beautiful track on tap, Homestead-Miami Speedway, close to a couple colleges in the South Florida area, but this is for every single type of student. All the drivers here in this race ready to slip around this 1.5-mile track and show us what they got.
And Taylor Burris, not only do we have arguably the deepest field in the college series this season, but we've got more money to give away as well. 4 scholarships. It was $50K in the spring. It's $60K that we're going to be giving away this fall.
And it's a great opportunity for all of these amazing colleges and for all these drivers here to come up on board, to get involved with esports. We've seen colleges get more and more involved with esports, and it's great to see that they're even more involved with something such as the eNASCAR brand and iRacing to come on board, for everyone to come out here and have a great time and do something that we all love, which is motor racing.
And we've got a new presenting partner for the fall. Our friends at Xfinity have joined us as the 5th premier partner for the fall semester of the eNASCAR College iRacing Series, and they are donating 4 simulators to some of our favorite HBCUs across the country. Bowie State University, Delaware State University, Texas Southern University, and Spelman College. And KB, just, if I could have a rig myself with that color purple, I think I would just go electric, because it looks so good.
You know, we talked about it pre-race. You said this is the beautiful shade of purple. I totally agree. If I had a rig like that, I'd be on it every single day. I don't think you could really take me out of it. You have to rip me out of the chair. Beautiful rigs sent out to some great colleges, and I'm sure the students at the colleges are going to enjoy those so much. It's going to be so much fun to have them over there, ripping on these Logitech setups and having a lot of fun on the sim as well.
Got a neat little eNASCAR College iRacing Series logo in the back too, Taylor. They went full bore with this.
They certainly did, and it's great to see of Xfinity coming on board with it. I mean, you see it right there on the bottom, right there where the seats are. It's phenomenal to see this happening.
So, thanks to Xfinity for joining the eNASCAR College iRacing Series powered by NASCAR League for the fall. Let's take a look at the upcoming race calendar for this fall semester that starts this evening with Homestead-Miami Speedway. Drivers participated in a time attack from September 8th to 15th. It's race day, September 20th, but we've got 3 more races that will be coming your way over the course of the fall. The next race will be at Auto Club Speedway. The time attack opens right at the end of this month, September 30th, and will last through October 13th. With race day on the 18th of October. Then we head to the Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Your time attack there, October 21st through November 3rd. Race day, November 8th. And we'll wrap up the fall semester by heading to the Music City Nashville Super Speedway. Your time attack opens on November 11th, runs to the 25th, and race day will be on November 29th. Of course, all of those races broadcast on the iRacing platforms. And for more information on the schedule, the standings, how to become a driver in the eNASCAR College iRacing Series powered by NASCAR League, you can always log on to your hub on the web for everything the NASCAR College iRacing Series has to offer. enascar.com/college today. Let's take a quick look at our Logitech G track analysis courtesy of our South Floridian on the team, Kenneth Bueno. Take us through Homestead-Miami Speedway.
Well, James, this track not too far away from where I am currently here in Miami, Florida, but this track has been around since 1995. They made it as an effort to rebuild the Homestead economy after the devastating effects of Hurricane Andrew back in 1992. It suffered 3 different configurations, but this is the one that we will see here tonight, the current one that Homestead-Miami Speedway utilizes. Had some NASCAR Next Gen Cup cars earlier today for a test session, and it is a beautiful facility to go racing. 1.5 miles, 2.4 kilometers. Turns with 18 to 20 degrees of banking in the turns. We're going to be talking about that a lot over the course of tonight's race, just because the progressive banking allows for multiple grooves, and you have that 3 degrees on the straightaways if you want to know that as well. And this track is so much fun, James. There's so many options, and with these NASCAR Xfinity Series cars, it basically gives you every single type of opportunity to make some speed up.
Let's meet our drivers for this evening and take a look at the starting grid, which is led off by Jose Solis Jr. from UConn, who gets the pole over Dylan Alt from Cal State Sacramento. Tyler Gary and Daniel Buttafuoco make up row number 2. Buttafuoco so strong for Rutgers in the spring of this series. Stephen Wilson and Anthony Burrows make up row 3. That's Iowa and St. Charles Community College. Then it's Matthew Zwack, the Michigan Wolverine. Tucker Minter from UNC Charlotte. Daniel Falkingham and Brett Suggs at High Point University making up the top 10, KB.
And you start with row number 6, beginning with Daniel Silvestri out of Virginia Tech. He will have Christian Gomez of FIU, Florida International University. To his outside, Cody Reed out of Miami University in Ohio starts inside row number 7, and he will have eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series talent Logan Clampett out of Saddleback College to his outside in P14. Matthew Morton out of Ohio State, he's in inside of row 8 with Jack Coyne out of Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute on his outside in that row. Will Norton out of the University of Kansas, he will be inside row number 9, 17th. He will have Alex Konolix in the Rockland Community College Xfinity car. He will be outside in that row before you'll find the final ones in the top 20. Taylor Burris, Matt Spalding out of Norwalk Community College, and Anthony Kroback out of East Stroudsburg University.
Ty Bowen will be starting in row 11 as we go to Ivy Tech South Bend, followed by, of course, Colson Phelps rounding out row 11. In row 12, we'll find Drew Jua and Nate Stewart, of course, a competitor we've seen them regularly on the iRacing service. Following in row 13 is going to be Jonah Hall and AJ Green. And then, of course, it's going to be Trey Norvell and the rest of the fields. John Buchenke and Christina Reina round out the rest of the top 20.
The rest of your names scroll across your screen. Arizona State's Garrett Vuitton rounding out our 37-car field for tonight's race. First race of the fall of the eNASCAR College iRacing Series powered by NASCAR League. $3,500 in scholarship money going to tonight's winner, and everyone in the top 10 at the end of the night going to come home with some form of scholarship money. But it's time to kick off the fall semester of the eNASCAR College iRacing Series powered by NASCAR League. As Jose Solis Jr. will stand on the gas pedal, and the Logitech G120 is underway from Homestead-Miami Speedway.
already Jose Salas Jr. off to a good start. Some of them 3 wide near the mid portion of the field, but already at the first 2 corners, James, seems like things rather swimmingly for the field heading back to turn 3.
Very quickly do these drivers get to the bottom, and I think in particular the ENASCAR Contender iRacing Series event that happened here last November, part of the roads, the ENASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, of which we got a few drivers in here, as you see a good battle for P9. But very quickly, Taylor, these drivers have found their way to that inside groove, and that I think is where you're going to want to be for the majority of the evening. If you can keep your car painted on the white line throughout a green flag run, you should be in good shape to have a good finish at the end of the night.
You certainly can have that come into fruition as we keep an eye on Jose Salas Jr. leading the field right now. He currently is checked out by about 4/10 of a second early on, but don't be surprised if we see some drivers later on in this run, maybe as we get longer into a green flag run, consider going up to that top line. Of course, this track is well known and documented to be known for riding right up against that wall and providing some great passing opportunities and racing here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway.
Everybody in a train up through the top, call it 7 or 8, and then you slide a little bit further back. You've got Matthew Zwack and Daniel Falkingham as your first side-by-side battle. Get a good look here at Tyler Gary out of Royal Palm Beach, Florida, racing for Palm Beach State College, a name that a lot of folks will know on the iRacing service. You've been around and you've seen some streams on late nights. You probably know the name Tyler Gary pretty well, and not a surprise. He's been fast in everything he's run on the oval side of iRacing KB, and not a shock that we would see another Floridian running well at Homestead-Miami.
Yeah, certainly fast as well. I do like the Florida representation. I'm going to have to see Christian Gomez here up in just a little bit if they want to rep Miami or at least some part of southern Florida. But Tyler Gary, a very talented driver, of course, runs in the eNASCAR Road to Pro qualifying iRacing Series. He's trying to get up to the Coke Series in a couple of years' time, or at least next year in 2023, and already doing a solid job of holding off Coke Series driver Steven Wilson, although everybody's just migrating to the bottom lane. Nobody really wants to make a move, but never mind. As soon as I say that, here's a little battle just behind that number 26 machine. Had some drivers going side by side. Looks like they have settled that out quickly, and everybody again will go to that white line. All of them looking to save tires earlier on in this event.
Let's go on board here with Logan Clampett. We'll get a good view of what he sees out of the cockpit, and we will see just how these drivers have to work in traffic at Homestead-Miami. How you have to be mindful of how you exit the corner, where you decide to pick up the throttle, what sort of runs you get as you come down the straightaway and enter the corner. You see him dipping underneath Matthew Zwack out of the University of Michigan to try and take the spot, and they are 3 wide, I noticed, just out of the corner of the screen, but you wouldn't know it if you were looking on Logan's face, Taylor. He's pretty calm, cool, and collected.
Well, that's what it takes to be a eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series driver, and he's showcasing the talent here already early on. Of course, a lot of these drivers who are competing here tonight are either competing in the content or in the qualifying series or in the highest levels of the eNASCAR Coke Series. So we'll see how these drivers are really going to work together and mesh and race around each other very professionally as we watch now Logan Clampett pick up a couple of more spots. He'll now move up into P9 with that beautiful pass to the inside. Keeps his car right there painted against that inside line as he just washes up the track just a little bit to hit his marks off corner exit.
You would think that Clampett would be one of the prohibitive favorites to win this evening with all the Coach Series experience that he's had, and in particular on the intermediate racetracks. His most recent win in the Coach Series, I believe, came at an intermediate in Atlanta Motor Speedway, if my memory serves me correctly, and we know he's quick on the 1.5 miles. But then again, you look at the drivers around him, they're no slouches either. Matthew Zwack, Thunder Dan, Daniel Falkingham, all drivers that have been around the scene, have been around the service for a while. And even though, yes, they're racing the College Series, these are drivers who picked up racing at a very young age. And the ladies are in town, too. Christina Ryan racing for Ohio University Bobcats. Get a good look at her green Toyota Supra. She's racing out of Columbus, Ohio.
And she's working to the inside here. Looks like the 11 machine she's going underneath. That is John Forbes. That is for a pass, potentially for 32nd out on the racetrack. But, of course, it's only lap 8, so there's a lot of time for drivers like Christine or even like John Forbes as they're going side by side back to turn 1 to make up some spots, maybe play some strategy. If it stays green all the way, they can gain some more spots. Maybe some yellows could change the game as well. She makes that pass complete. Now Forbes under fire by Garrett Vuitton, the number 15 out of Medina, Ohio for Arizona State University. That simmers down quickly, so they'll go back single file. And it looks like for the moment, James, everybody wants to keep it clean. That's because it's a rather long race. We go 80 laps as we look at our race analysis presented by our good friends over at Xfinity. We go 120 miles. miles. Pit road speed limit, if we have those green flag pit stops, will be 50 miles per hour. And this track is known to have a treacherous pit road entry out of turn 4. So if we do stay green, if we end up in that situation, and I have to talk about that, going to be a very big portion of the race. We'll see if any drivers end up speeding. Anybody has any penalties? Hopefully they don't. We'll just have to see. We do have 3 tire sets available, so tires will be at a premium if strategy becomes a stronghold in this race. And our fuel window, roughly about 41 to 44 laps. These drivers came to roughly halfway to the race, green all the way. Of course, though, James, still a lot left to discover here in the opening 11 laps.
And the big number, I think, to pay attention to off of that Xfinity race analysis, 41 to 44 laps as we go on board with the Iowa Hawkeye, Steven Wilson, one of the prohibitive favorites for the Coke Series title. He's in the playoffs. He's in the mix. Someone that you're going to have to watch for Stuart Haas Esports, but he's also racing the College Series, too, as an Iowa Hawkeye TV.
He certainly is, and representing pretty well right now, currently running in that 3rd position. Not really pushing the effort. He's running still around the same consistent lap times as your race leader of Solis Jr. and Dylan Alt, but also just minding his business, making sure he takes care of his equipment early on in the run. Normally, if we expect this, we should be expecting maybe about a halfway point around the lap 40 where everyone will come down to make those pit stops if we do not have a caution and stay green for this race. So right now is the good time to just hug that white line, back up your corners a little bit, and make sure you take care of your equipment.
Moving around in the field, we go to Dylan Olds, and Dylan qualifying on the outside of the front row at Cal State University, Sacramento. He's a Sacramento native. He's also P2, and maybe we shouldn't be so surprised, Kenneth Plato, that 2 of your top 3 drivers are current drivers in the ENASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series.
Of course not. These 2 definitely putting it on here in the early laps as you ride on board the bottom right of your screen. The rig here for Dylan Olds. He tries to chase down the Yukon student, Jose Solis Jr. in the 75, your current race leader. But in a way, James, this could be some potential practice for the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series race at Homestead that they'll have later on in the fall. Remember, that race is upcoming. I know that race is going to be part of the playoffs, so guys like Dylan Alt, Steven Wilson, they're going to be looking to be as strong as they can be. If they can get a win, that's all going to be momentous for them, especially for Wilson, who's gunning for that championship in 2022 as you ride on board with Alt on the rear side. Now you look at Daniel Falkingham, a couple of spots behind, but safe to say, James, everybody wants to stay in the status quo, all single file to the bottom of the racetrack.
That is an impressive collection of diecast that Thunder Dan's got behind him. Look at that, Silver, stacked up all the way to the wall. I've got some 164s like that, but I don't know if my 124 collection is as impressive as Thunder Dan's.
No, that is very impressive by Thunder Dan, as he is just absolutely... You gotta love the excitement that Daniel has with, of course, this opportunity with all the diecast behind him. It just shows the love of the sport that he has as we continue to ride on board with him down the back straightaway. Falkingham, of course, sitting a little bit further outside the top 10, trying to catch up to Matthew Zwack, but a great run early on, running competitive lap times in and amongst what the race leaders are running.
So we get a good look here at the man just in front of the man who dominated the spring, Daniel Botafuca out of Rutgers, and took away a lot of money, a lot of scholarship money. And guess what? We have a lot more scholarship money to give away here in the fall. Your winner will get $3,500 in scholarship money tonight, and it will be the same for each race. And we will run that back all the way back to P10 in tonight's race, which will get $250. So we'll give away $15,000 a race for a $60,000 total by the end of the fall, the end of the semester. And if you want all the latest updates, news, and all the like from eNASCAR, pull out your mobile device and scan the QR code on your screen to sign up for all that information today, courtesy of iRacing and our friends at NASCAR. Good look here at the middle of the pack. We were just about to talk about Tucker Minter, who really, I think, has come on strong. Tucker's had a really strong run in the eNASCAR qualifying iRacing series. He's one of the ones trying to fight his way into the Coke Series for 2023. And he comes from a program that, unlike a lot of these, there's a long history of sim racing at the University of North Carolina, Charlotte. They've got their motorsports engineering program, and so there are more than a few sim racers that have come through the scene. I know Santiago Gutierrez is the first one that jumps out to me, a former Coke Series driver, but there have been a handful of drivers, so there's a support system there, and in that sense, KB, maybe not a surprise that we've got another 49er in the field tonight.
Yeah, it's definitely true. UNCC is a school known for motorsports. I mean, it's basically in the backyard of NASCAR stock car racing. So, I mean, why not have those type of programs? And they have definitely awesome opportunities for people like Tucker Minter and many others who attend the school to hop into the motorsport scene and get to learn all the facets of it. And right now, Tucker Minter is hunting down on Tyler Gary. Notice that last time by, set a lap a teensy bit quicker than the driver in the 26. So sooner than later, we may see Tucker Minter get closer to the rear end of Gary and potentially make a move. Minter, by the way, James, is up 3 spots since the drop of the green. He started 8th. He's up into the top 5. So that progression doesn't seem to be stopping anytime soon.
We'll slide a little bit further back here, and we are going to go on board with Colson Phelps out of Iowa State University, the Hawkeye from Ames. We'll get a good look on board with him and see what he sees out of his cockpit, courtesy of our friends at Logitech G.
Really sawing at the wheel right now.
Trouble for Jack Coyne. I heard it just off the edge of the onboard of Colson Phelps, who passed him right as he went off into turn 1. Blown motor for Jack Coyne. It sounded like a bad shift. And so that will put Coyne out. He, I believe, will be our first retirement of tonight's Logitech G120. Unfortunately, especially that it happened on a shift 2. Just an easy mistake that I think all of us have made at some point in the sim, Kenneth, but not one you want to make when all the scholarship lies.
Oh yeah, I've money shifted countless of times. If you were able to count it, it would be insurmountable. It would be unpassable. But for Coyne there, I mean, you wouldn't be shifting here at Homestead, but of course anything can happen, and maybe just a little tick, maybe something happened there. And with Coyne, the motor just exploded immediately as he was entering turn 1. He was in a fight though for position. You watch this car, the black and white Camaro on the inside, that was on the Will Norton machine in the 25, the University of Kansas student, and right there as he's entering turn 1, there's the mishap, there's the smoke billowing out of the Chevy Camaro, and Coyne immediately notices, dives to the inside of the apron, lets everybody by. So fortunately, a safe exit there on behalf of Coyne, but again, a super tough break after he was running fairly well in tonight's event.
It's that telltale slight little puff of smoke that you see if you've been around the sim for a while, Taylor Burris. Everybody knows what that means. It's very much a bad shift, very much night over, and you lose the opportunity to chase down our leader, Jose Solis, who's doing a very nice job representing UConn, driver out of East Hartford, Connecticut, who has led every lap so far from the poles at the fastest time in qualifying. And Jose is another one of those drivers who's made his way through the ranks and has been a part of the qualifying series for multiple years, so he knows what it's like to compete at high levels of NASCAR, and in that sense, no surprise that he's out here running up front with the best of the best.
He certainly is, and he has showcased that talent all across the iRacing service. I mean, like you said, he's competitor in the ENASCAR Qualifier Series, running quite strong in that, so he is definitely showcasing. Here's some other future and current up-and-coming stars in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Tucker Minter, of course, a former competitor. Then you, of course, have Tyler Gary and Logan Clampett as a current series competitor, and Daniel Buttafuoco. We've seen him showcase immense talent coming over here and being able to progress this talent. The Rutgers University native really having a great run here in 7th place, keeping up with the pace of Logan Clampett.
Right at the back end of this battle, you've got Minter, Tyler Gary, Logan Clampett, and Buttafuoco just at the rear of this. And yet again, no surprise that we see Clampett trying to reach to the inside, but I think we'd be remiss not to talk about Daniel Buttafuoco in this series. No driver took away more scholarship money in the spring than Buttafuoco, who had a podium finish at Daytona and won at Charlotte and Watkins Glen to take home more scholarship money for his education at Rutgers University, State University of New Jersey, than anyone else in this series. And I know Kenneth Boito, he's looking for more of the same as we enter the fall portion of the 2022 campaign.
Yeah, no doubt, James. He's been one of the best when it comes down to the ENASCAR College iRacing Series, and much like the others in front of him, guys like Tyler Gary, you think of guys other like in the field, like Daniel Falkingham, all of them running in that ENASCAR Road to Pro qualifying iRacing Series. So looking to get into the Contender iRacing Series later this fall and compete with the likes of Logan Clamp and the Dylan Alts, the Steven Wilsons in 2023 for the ENASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. And obviously with the momentum that Budofuko has built up previously in history, again, like you said, James, and harped on with many drivers in this field, no surprise that they're at the front, no surprise that they are ticking off lap after lap, and that they're running competitively with each other. As you ride on board with the 13, looks ahead at Tyler Gary. He filled that spot from Tucker Minter, who also fell a spot to Logan Clampett, who moves up into P4. But Budofuko has a nice front row seat of some of the drivers he can move in front of in the next couple laps or so.
And Kenneth, I think you make a really good point there, that you look at the top names in this field right now, the Jose Solases, the Steven Wilsons, the Logan Clampetts, the Tucker Minters, the Tyler Garrison, even the Brett Suggs out of High Point University. Look at him. He's going on board VR style. One of the few drivers we've seen in this field who has a VR headset that you can use in iRacing if you so choose. A little bit of a different perspective. You see him move his head just a bit as Steven Wilson has made the pass over Jose Solis Jr. But as I was saying, Taylor, you look at the top names, and I think it speaks to the youth movement in sim racing that you look at the names on that list, and if you told me that these drivers would be, you know, your top 5 in an A Open or a B fixed race, then I wouldn't be surprised. But I think that underscores how strong the youth of sim racing, the youth of iRacing is.
It certainly is, and it just showcases the amazing young and up-and-coming talent coming through the ranks here in the eNASCAR bracket. And we see that here with Steven Wilson, who has just put on an amazing performance here. He slowly took his time, took care of his equipment, and made the pass when it counted in the run where it's starting to get a little bit difficult to make sure you get those runs you need in order to come out on top.
Lots of work to do, and Wilson is starting to pull away. Last time by, he was a 10th up on Jose Solis, and it goes back to one of the points that we talked about in our Xfinity race analysis, Kenneth Bueno, that if this goes green, you're going to have to be smart about how you manage your tires, because you can run quick laps, but you will burn your tires off quickly, and you will fall back just the same. As you see a good battle a little bit further back, here's Rhett Nichols out of Fairmont State University out of West Virginia, and a little bit more action from Mario Miranda, who came down pit road just a little bit ago. He's got fresh tires. That's why he was able to jump around Rhett Nichols with relative ease. But again, tire wear matters. Managing your rubber matters. Making sure that you don't burn off your tires matters, and gives you a better chance to stay up towards the front KB, which ultimately is your goal.
And look at Nichols there on board, especially as he goes into turn 1. You see it again, but out of turn 4, he is sawing at the wheel. And that means, James, that we're at that point where you wear out the right front, you wear out the right rear, and this car is going to start to give up, at least tire-wise, and that's going to play furthermore into that strategy. Again, it's very hot track temp here at Homestead-Miami. We're fairly after the summer months, but we're still in September, and you know South Florida is warm all year round. So again, just having the hot track temperature, and then these cars that don't necessarily have a lot of downforce on tap, you're going to have that method of tire conservation plus every other thing that's going on inside the race. And if it stays green, you know, obviously we're going to see drivers on pit road, but it makes me wonder, James, if drivers were expecting potentially a quick yellow. Maybe they were expecting somewhat of a medium run before a break would come, and they could easily come down pit road and get one of their 3 available sets of tires here in this Logitech G120. But now that it's gone green, there may have been some drivers that have underestimated the long run, used up the tires a little too much, and they are starting to pay the price.
Taylor, that's part of the gamble, I think, that you take, right? As you see the battle for third between Clampett, Alt, Minter, and Gary, you can elect to try and gamble and push a little bit harder at the beginning of the run, but if you don't get that yellow flag to come down for tires, then you've got no tires left to run at the end of the green flag run, and you'll give up more time than the driver that consistently just saved his tires over the course of 30 or 40 laps. We will be back with more action from the Logitech G120 after this short break. Don't go anywhere. More action from the ENASCAR College iRacing Series, powered by Nate Starley from Homestead-Miami Speedway, coming up in a few.
There are just two ways through the playoffs. The first one, elimination. But by the looks of these 12 drivers, it's safe to say that isn't an option. Now the second one is to win the whole thing and forever be called a champion. Thing is, there's only room for one. I am the NASCAR Xfinity Series playoffs. I am NASCAR.
Once upon a time, Texas was all cowboys and cattle, bourbon and barbecue, astronauts and yeehaw. Well, times change.
We are underway in Texas. Blue takes on the back straightaway, car spinning around.
But also, they don't.
Hell yeah, boy! Let's go!
Giddy up. The NASCAR playoffs continue at Texas on USA.
Dirt Racing will be available September 27th. Pre-order your copy today.
Tonight's broadcast of the ENASCAR College iRacing Series powered by NASCAR League is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of ENASCAR. By Logitech G, the design, engineering, and a love of driving gaming. Logitech G takes racing simulation to another level. Logitech G, the official wheel and pedals of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. By SCW, whether you're looking to outfit the office or race like the pros, SCW is where America gets IT. Shop now at scw.com. By Placey, the official iRacing chair of eNASCAR. And by Xfinity. Get the reliable connection you need to keep up with the race from start to finish. Unbeatable internet made to do anything so you can do anything. Xfinity, proud premier partner of NASCAR. Welcome back to the Logitech G120, the fall season opener for the eNASCAR College iRacing Series powered by NASCAR League. James Pike, Kenneth Bueno, and Taylor Burris here to bring you through the action as we are just past halfway. Lap 41 of 80 up on the board. Steven Wilson, your leader, but look at this battle for second that has become something as different tire strategies converge on one another. Kenneth Bueno, Dylan has second, but there are about 6 drivers trying to take it away from him down the backstretch.
Yeah, James, this battle has been going on for a long while, so it's not necessarily the fact that it's just happening right now, but over the course of those laps, it has mattered, and it is going to matter when it comes down to the strategy, and that's going to be exciting. What's also going to be exciting, James, though, is the future with iRacing. They've got a new game 1 week from tonight on the dirt side, the World of Outlaws dirt racing game coming out September 27th. It's officially 1 week from our broadcast tonight, September 20th. So I know James, Taylor, we're probably going to be gaming all night long when that game comes out. It's going to be a lot of fun when it releases on all platforms.
I'm super excited for it. I love running the World of Outlaws on iRacing. I feel like I have more speed than I give myself credit for in those things, but it's so much fun as we see the leaders come down pit road. Dylan Alt, Jose Solis Jr., and I believe Logan Clampett all in here on lap 42, and Taylor Burris. Let the pit strategy games begin.
Let those pit strategy games begin indeed. Anthony Burrows also making his way down his pit road. Colson Phelps, Cody Reed also making his way, but Steven Wilson has decided, no, I'm going to stay out a little bit longer. He's pressing over into the end of this pit, so we should be seeing him come down pit road this time by. But this will be a very interesting strategy to see how this will play out as he slides his way down into pit road, trying to get it woed up. You know how difficult it is to get around here. Tucker Minter will go one more lap around, as Steven Wilson will make his way down pit road along with Tyler Gary and Daniel Budafuco, who will join him along with Brett Suggs and Will Norton.
of the field, making the decision to come down now, and that leaves Tucker Minter, Nate Stewart, Matt Morton, Matt Spalding, and Trey Normile amongst the top drivers who are still yet to come into pit road for service. Looks like Minter will make amends here and drop off of the banking onto the apron and onto pit road as well. He comes in for service. Kenneth Bueno working lap 44, coming to lap 45.
And now here will come Nate Stewart, so he will follow him in. Same deal for Matt Spalding in the 54. He'll lock up the brakes. Some smoke coming out of that Toyota Supra, but I believe he has made the pit road speed limit of 50 miles per hour, so there should be no penalties assessed to him. But one thing I wanted to note, James, as we were looking on the first drivers going on a pit road, Daniel Falkingham was among the first couple of drivers to head in for service. So they were looking for some fresh tire first. And here's a look at one of the attempted pit stops here, the 88 going sideways. The Miami University student, that is Cody Reed, goes sideways. I believe, James, that is not a pit road penalty, but those tires have to be shot, and that's a lot of lost time on his entrance.
Well, good that he was coming down pit road for tires. That'll at least solve that part of it, but you're right. The lost time is really the big statement as we see Reese Bayham, originally from Richmond, Virginia, but the Auburn University driver, very proud War Eagle man, and not having a bad run either. Currently working his way in 25th, but he's the first of the cars one lap down. So if we got a yellow right now, he would get the lucky dog. He'd be in great position.
He certainly will. This is a great opportunity for him. We'll keep track of his pace to make sure, see how things will work out for him if he's able to manage to stay on the lead lap. There we go, right on board with him, as he is just going to saw the wheel. He's taking a little bit of a longer route, and you see just how quickly those with fresh tires are just zooming by him as very quickly as possible. A little bit of a wiggle right there of the wheel, gathers it back up, but sets his sights. He's going to try to get out here and get another long run in.
Just trying to pace himself, I think, at this point is Reese Bayham. As you saw, I believe that was Logan Clampett that made the move here, and you've got company right around Bayham too in the form of AJ Green, I believe, looking to his rear quarter panel as they go off into turn one. But again, another calm, cool, collected driver as we see a few more folks going after it. The Buckeye from Ohio State in the 31 machine work his way around the racetrack right now.
And he is in a group, by the way, James, of 3 others. So 4 total, at least in the top 5, that have not come down for service on pit road just yet. It's going to get a little close there with the 54, Matt Spalding, as he comes around on the fresh tires. That, by the way, is the difference on a hot track temp in South Florida at this track, Homestead-Miami Speedway, where tire wear is significant. You're going to have that difference in pace. And for Norton, for Jensic, for Rhett Nichols, for Jeremy Burns, who occupy that top 4, they're just holding out the hope that they can go as long as possible. But at the same time, James, you don't want to wait too late, because the likes of Dylan Alt, Steven Wilson, those guys who are on fresh rubber and have been some of the fastest cars on the racetrack, they're starting to catch up. There's a look at Alt. He's now moved in to P5, so watch that. Don't want to go too late. There may be some consequences.
And for more information on how to start your iRacing career and potentially get involved in a future ENASCAR College iRacing Series event, log on to iRacing.com today for all the information that you want to find out about iRacing, including how to get a membership. If you're new, it's 40% off the first time you purchase a membership and join the over 200,000 driver strong community of iRacing members around the world. Now, Taylor, to the point that Kenneth was making, let's go through the strategy of the Matt Mortons, the N6, the Nichols, the Burns, as Morton, I believe, may be coming down pit road here. But if you're now Jensic, Nichols, Burns, and you decide to stay out, you are hoping for a yellow flag to fall right about now, because then you can pit from the front of the field and gain the track position. If this goes green, they're only hurting themselves further. They're running slower lap times on the old tires. They will give up the time and give up the track position and fall back. But if you get the yellow now, it's a very lucky break, as you get a good look at the light blue and the navy out of the Rhode Island Ram that is Sean Jensic. Pretty colors there on that machine, and a bit unique amongst the drivers of the ENASCAR College iRacing Series, Taylor.
It certainly is very unique, and of course for Sean Jensic, he is really putting on a great performance here. Started 31st, has now gained 30 positions here with 30 laps to go left in the race, but he's got to make sure he paces himself and hopes that caution does come out. Otherwise, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to see how he's going to be able to play out his strategy game as we keep an eye on this.
here's a look at the 03 machine. This is John Hall, one of the drivers out of the Florida State, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, but he does go not to a Florida school. He goes to the Massachusetts Maritime Academy, one of the nicest paint schemes that we see here. He's driving a Ford Mustang tonight. He enters in turn 3. John Hall started all the way back in 25th, and it's been a solid move up through the field. James, he's moved up to 13, so plus 12 on the charts since the drop of the green. There's a lot to look forward to for Hall at this point in the race with 27 laps to go. If he can hold this through, he can be one of our largest chargers in tonight's event.
And may have a shot at one of the back-end scholarship pieces. Some money may be coming his way if he can find his way into the top 10. A reminder that if you finish 10th, you're getting $250 in scholarship money, courtesy of all of our partners here at the ENASCAR College iRacing Series, powered by NASCAR League. Definitely in the window here for John Hall, who's had top 15, top 10 pace throughout most of this race, but everybody chasing down Dylan Alt and Steven Wilson has closed that gap, and there's Jensic 2 on the old tires, so this immediately becomes a battle for the race lead. Jensic will fall off with the old rubber, and this is now on Alt and Wilson, 2 Coke Series regulars, to fight for P1 with just under 30 laps to go in the Logitech G120.
Oh, this is going to get exciting to see here. Of course, you got the current points leader in the eNASCAR Series really getting a great run off turn number 4. He's going to stay tucked up behind the back bumper of that number 42 Chevrolet as they work their way through the corner. He's taking a little bit of a wider arc, taking up to that second lane, trying to see if he can build a little bit more momentum to propel him off the corner. Gets a great run, and is going to try to close that gap even more so as they head down the back straightaway. But Dylan Alt, very calm, very cool and collected, not really trying to force any issues or mistake. Meanwhile, Steven Wilson is trying to pressure him just a little bit, see if he can get to his inside. As we currently go on board with Will Norton in that number 25 machine, having a great run right here as he works down the back straightaway, having some good runs here, currently sitting in the 15th position after gaining a few spots. As we go up to the front of the lead, side-by-side battle for the lead. Steven Wilson looks to the inside.
Wilson with the fight on the bottom in the preferred lane, but Dylan Alt able to roll the momentum on the top side. Can he stay even with Steven Wilson on corner entry? Kenneth Bueno, that I think is the biggest question. And how deep will Wilson drive it into the corner? Not deep enough, so they're still side by side. And how will this affect not only their races, but the Tyler Garys, the Daniel Buttafuoco's, all these drivers who are trying to chase these two down? If they continue to run side by side, they will bleed time, they will give up some of the gap to the drivers in third and fourth and so on that are chasing them down.
And that's the last thing you want to see here, James, especially noting the fact, if you look at the scoring pylon, we've got 24 laps to go. And if they're running this hard for the race lead and they continue to use up their Goodyear Eagles, they're going to fall off sooner than they anticipate. And that's going to allow the guys like Tyler Gary, the guys like Daniel Buttafuoco, the guys like Tucker Minter, Anthony Burrows, all those guys occupying the top 5, top 6 to catch up and pick up the pieces if these guys make a mess. Dylan Alt still holding on to the race lead. Steven Wilson looking for a run on the back straightaway, but just will not do anything heading for turn 3. He notices not enough momentum to make the move, but he's going to try and go up high, diamond it down low, and here he finds a weakness in Alt's defense. To the inside, Wilson goes out of turn 4 for the race lead.
Notice how he changed his line in the middle of the corner. We saw it on the Xfinity onboard. He sort of drifted up in the center of the corner, and that gave him the ability to come down the banking just a bit and get a run to get even with Dylan Alt down the straightaway, and that gave him the inside position going into turn 1 that may end up getting in the race lead once they come through 3 and 4. Here we go on board with Dylan Alt out of Cal State University, Sacramento. Manages to get Steven Wilson just a little bit loose to his inside, take the air off the side of his car, and Alt will maintain the lead for the moment. But it's Alt and Wilson, and watching the gap now to Tyler Gary in third. It's 1.3 seconds as it stands, but again, as they continue to go door to door for P1, that gap will get smaller and smaller and smaller.
It certainly will, and these two need to realize that as well. If these two keep battling, it's going to bring in the rest of the field, such as Tyler Gary, Daniel Buttafuoco, Tucker Minter, throw in also Logan Clampett in the mix, and you could have a 6-car, even more car battle for the race lead, and you don't want that when you just want to focus on only one car. As we watch them come off of turn number 4, Steven Wilson looks to the inside, thinks better of it, will get back up to the back bumper of Dylan Alt and try to see if he can set himself up for another pass, possibly cool down the tires just a little bit in order to set up for that final run here as we're coming to 20 laps to go.
That was my big moment, I think, that I saw. The big thing that I noticed, once he backed off, you're right, Taylor, this almost certainly is a tire-saving process. There's the onboards of both drivers. You can see them in their rigs. Full concentration on both faces. They know what's at stake. And they know there's a bunch of scholarship money on the line. They want P1. They want more scholarship money than anyone else. And Steven Wilson might just get the lead into turn 1 this time. Drives it in deep enough. Finally, Steven Wilson to the point. Under 20 laps to go in the Logitech G120.
James, I was about to worry about Steven Wilson if he cannot make that pass complete, because you saw in those previous 2 attempts, he had gone to the inside. That was half the battle, but then Dylan Alt was able to pinch him all the way to the bottom, force him to not use as much acceleration out of the corner, could not carry the momentum, and that's why Alt had been able to hold him off those past couple times, but Wilson finally had enough of it, got the run out of turn 4, which arguably over the past couple of laps has been his best place on the racetrack in comparison to Alt. Finally makes his way by, and there is no conversation about saving the tires or wasting them pretty much anymore in battling for position. Wilson clear, Alt clear, and it looks like they still have a solid buffer before they get to Tyler Gary, who is the last driver into our podium position. So finally they're able to settle themselves through, which means, yes, no more lost time, but for Alt it means no race lead, which is also a nice trade-off.
Well, nice if you're Steven Wilson, I would say.
Well,
I don't think
nice, but it's an interesting trade-off. I should have worded that better. It's all good.
Good battles here a little bit further back. Tucker Minter in the mix with Daniel Buttafuoco, Tyler Gary, Logan Clampett. This is the battle for third, just behind Steven Wilson and Dylan Alt. And that quartet, it seems like they've been going at it with each other just about this entire race. How many times do we call Gary, Minter, Clampett, Buttafuoco all in the same bunch? Here's Minter looking to the outside of Gary to try and wrest away the 3rd position. Nothing yet, as Buttafuoco will change lanes and try and find some way to get alongside Logan Clampett and hopefully pull off P5.
He's been having a great run right here, Daniel Buttafuoco, as he's trying to hold on and get a better run. He's lost a couple of spots compared to one of our biggest gainers, Logan Clampett, picking up from 14th to 5th and wanting to get a little bit more in this run, but still, as we watch a little further, we have to look at this battle for P12 between Kalanick Stewart and Brett Suggs, who's been having a great run here tonight, as he is also. But how about also Stewart picking up just over 10 positions? Started 24th, is in 13th. A great night for him.
Haven't had the chance to call Nate Stewart's name all that much, so let's take a moment to give a shout out to the Hopkinsville Community College driver out of Hopkinsville, Kentucky, the Bluegrass State native through and through. Having a good showing here, doing a nice job racing with the competition. He's got Brett Suggs, he's got Alex Kalanick all in the mix, and I believe we may see Daniel Silvestri pop in a frame in just a little bit. He's the next one on the list. This is all just outside of the top 10, so all these drivers trying to chase down Will Norton and Matthew Zwack out of the University of Michigan, who's got that final spot in the top 10 as it stands. Here's an on-board look with Nate Stewart now.
And even though, James, they are battling on the racetrack, now they've gone single file, so that's out of the window. They are somewhat catching the likes of Norton and Zwack up in front of them. So it's not like them battling is costing them all too much time, at least in that segment of turn 3 and 4. And I remember looking on Twitter, my timeline, Nate Stewart on it, and he was very excited, James, about racing in this ENASCAR College iRacing series. You could definitely tell there was a lot of hype behind this race going into the green flag, and Nate Stewart having a solid run so far as he aims to work here on Kalanick right now. Not successful, actually, never mind. For a moment, it looked like it would be some sort of contact. He's going to go to the inside, finally make a potential pass, and we'll look back up to the trio near the top 5. Clampett trying to hold on to the fight between Tucker Minter and Tyler Gary.
Minter now has closed the gap on Gary. These three have separated from Daniel Buttafuoco just a little bit, and now Gary's got his hands full. The Palm Beach State College driver out of Florida, home turf for him. You know he wants a podium finish here and a good run, but he looks like he's going to have a fight just to keep P3 in the final 10 laps.
He is certainly going to have a tough fight on his hands as we ride on board with Tyler Gary. You see right now one of our drivers, Logan Clampett, running against the wall, rim riding it here tonight, but it might be a little too late on the timing of how things are going because he lost a ton of time to the driver of Tucker Minter, who's there right there in the mix as they work their way through the corner. Tucker Minter tries to get to the inside, shows the nose, but Tyler Gary being very defensive, running his race and keeping these competitors behind him.
I think, KB, this is now a game of how you play the air and where you place your car in the corner, especially if you're Gary, to try and disturb the air coming onto the nose of the cars behind you. Notice how Gary is running right ahead of Tucker Minter, and he's a lane off the bottom to try and block the air getting to Minter's nose, make sure that he has a little bit less downforce, make the car a little bit harder to control. Meanwhile, you look just a little bit further back, you can see that Logan Clampett is getting down to that white line sooner than the other two drivers in this. He's trying to find clean air, find some air to get to his nose, to give him that little bit of extra downforce, a little bit of extra traction, maybe give him the little bit of extra speed he needs to make the passes on Minter and Clampett and get a podium position.
And that's part of the game you have to play, James. If you're all these drivers, you look on board with Clampett, who is arguably the lowest driver out of everybody on the racetrack in terms of what line they're running in each and every corner. As Clampett goes into turn 3, watch this. As Minter will go a little bit higher, he'll be on that first seam. Same deal for Gary, who's going to block that momentum off. Clampett has some cleaner air. So far, it hasn't necessarily worked all too well for him. It looks like maybe the grip falling off just a little bit. The corner exit doesn't seem to be the strong suit for the 97 as of the moment. But if he continues like this and they continue to kind of hold each other up, Gary and Minter around the top 3 and top 4, and Clampett is just going to have that open invitation. He just needs them to stay alongside each other and to potentially work around each other, get into a battle, and lose some time. But one driver who is losing time, James, to know, is the driver up ahead of this trio, and that's Dylan Alt. Fell back of the race lead by Steven Wilson. Wilson has opened the gap up to roughly a second coming out of turn 4, and Alt's fight may not be done just yet because he's got all these guys hunting down on him coming to the final 9 laps.
I'm glad you brought it up because I was going to immediately, if you didn't, Dylan Alt has lost time and has backed it up, and this is now a battle for second as Steven Wilson continues to stretch his lead out front to the tune of almost 1.1 seconds. As Dylan Alt is now going to have to hold off Tyler Gary, Tucker Minter, Logan Clampett, and anyone else that wants to join this fray for that second position and that bigger share of the scholarship money. He's got work on his hands if he wants to maintain P2.
He certainly does, James, as we watch, of course, Dylan Alt trying to hold off Tyler Gary, who's been one of the most consistent, been running some very quick lap times as we see them almost run identical last time around between Alt and Tyler Gary. Meanwhile, we see Tucker Minter running up against the outside wall, gets a little loose, gathers it back up. Logan Clampett try to capitalize on that, but could not make it work as they work their way through.
And for more information on the schedule, the standings, and how to become a driver in the ENASCAR College iRacing Series powered by NASCAR League, visit enascar.com/college today to find out all the information you need to join potentially our next race at Auto Club Speedway in October. This is the view off the back of Dylan Alt's Cal State University Sacramento machine, the Northern California native trying to go cross-country to Homestead-Miami and come away with a really, really good finish and beat out a native Floridian in the process in Tyler Gary, who I have to believe is going to push as hard as anyone, maybe a little bit harder, because this is a track he knows better than anyone else. Sort of the same principles that you run on, KB. You've been to this place many a time. You've seen plenty of races in real life here. So this is a place you know well. This is a place he knows well. And I would have to believe there's just that little extra incentive to try and get P2 here at the end of this Logitech G120.
There is, for sure, if you've been in the track multiple times, and that goes for any venue on the NASCAR calendar. If you're from there, if you've been to races, if you've been interested in the track for so long, just because it's your hometown track, you're going to know more about it and its dynamics and its characteristics more than anyone else. And also, there is an incentive for Gary to push here because we're into the final 4 laps. What else do you have left to lose? You played that tire conservation game. You played the long run. Now it's all the time to use it for the short run. Whatever tire you have left, go for it. Gun 150%. And if you're not successful, then oh well. But you never know what the rewards might be if he can get around Dylan All. Although the gap is somewhat growing. It's maintained around 2 to 3/10 of a second. So maybe that will stifle Gary's opportunities here to catch up to P2. But we'll just have to see as we look a little bit further back through the field. That is the 22 of Alex Kolonix, the 33 of Brett Suggs, and the 25 of Will Norton. The 3 of them working 12th, 13th, and 14th on the racetrack.
They have a good battle, but it might be worth it to slide just a little bit further up because here comes Nate Stewart working his way to the inside of Matthews Whack. It's Hopkinsville Community College versus the University of Michigan at Ann Arbor, and this is for the final scholarship prize spot in tonight's field, $250, as you get a good look of the Rockland Community College machine of Alex Kolonix, but he's got to chase down these 2 ahead of him just at the bottom left portion of your screen if he wants scholarship money this evening.
He's got to really hold on. As a little bit of side-by-side contact right there between Nate Stewart and Matthew Zwack as they go side-by-side. A little contact, and Stewart will get out ahead for that 10th position, but Matthew really going to try to be aggressive here in these final 2 laps. Gets right up on the back bumper, pushes him through the corner, backs off a little bit so they can make it through, but he is definitely being aggressive here in these final 2 laps.
This is a powder keg ready to explode, and they are bringing Kolonix and Suggs right into this. This could be a 4-car battle for the final piece of scholarship money with 2 laps to go in the Logitech G120.
Turning up the physicality, James saw the bump. Stewart into Zwack in the middle of turn 3. Then Zwack got into the back bumper of Stewart. Finally, Stewart is able to clear, and here come the rest of the party. Alex Kolonix, Brett Suggs, the 22, the 33, diving inside and outside for turn 1, almost looking 3 wide coming out of turn 2 on the white flag.
They go 3 wide as Steven Wilson goes through 3 and 4 for the final time, and he's been in the ENASCAR College iRacing Series for a few races, but he hasn't managed to pull off the victory until tonight. Iowa's Steven Wilson, your winner of the Logitech G120 and the ENASCAR College iRacing Series, powered by Nate Starley from Homestead-Miami, and Nate Stewart out of Hopkinsville, Kentucky for Hopkinsville Community College will finish in the 10th and final scholarship prize position after a tough battle with Alex Kolonix, Brett Suggs, and Matthew Zwack and company. Good look at Steven Wilson, who's been there. He's been competitive. Things just haven't quite fallen his way. But, Kenneth, only a matter of time, I think, until this man, who is one of the favorites to win the Coke Series title, came to the College Series and got the job done. He comes away with $3,500 in scholarship money as part of tonight's Coca-Cola winning moment.
And you know what it does, James? It only adds to the momentum for Steven Wilson on iRacing. Of course, you mentioned that campaign that he's putting up, a star effort for Steven Wilson this year into the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. And to do it here, to spoil the party and dominate the last segment of tonight's Logitech G120 is certainly going to give him a lot of positivity, a lot of optimism, and maybe some momentum for that Homestead race, wink, wink, in the Coke Series later this year.
October 11th, I believe, if you're marking your calendars. Here's a look at your results of tonight's Logitech G120. Wilson, Alt, and Gary, your podium finishers. We'll hopefully get the chance to chat with them in just a few moments. Minter, Clampett, Botafuco, Burrows, Solis Jr., Falkingham, and Stewart. Your 10 drivers that will come away with scholarship money tonight, Kenneth.
And you look at the drivers short of those $250. Alex Kolonix in the 22, Brett Suggs, Matthew Zwack among those. And then you look at some drivers like Christian Gomez. How about the FIU student racking up the top 15? We saw a couple guys like Matthew Morton in there as well, leading the race after staying out for a while. John Hall, we rode on board with him earlier on in tonight's race. Some notable finishes in the top 20 tonight.
Luke on further down to 21st, Christina Ryan, Drew Jawa in 21st, 22nd, John Forbes in 23rd, Anthony Chorbach in 24th, AJ Green, Garrett Vinton in 25th and 26th, Reese Bayham's strategy did not pull off well for him as he'll come home in 27th, Cody Reed, Trey Normill, and Jeremy Burns rounds out your top 30. The first car, one lap down.
Final 7 drivers in this field: Kai Bowen, Sean Yensick, Rhett Nichols, Zachary DeWile, Mario Mirinda, Jake Cummings, and Jack Coyne with a blow motor earlier, rounding out the field in tonight's Logitech G120 first race of the fall for the ENASCAR College iRacing Series, powered by Nace Starley. It is now time to chat with our race winner for the first time in the eNASCAR College iRacing Series. Steven Wilson stands atop the field, and he is with our resident South Florida native, Kenneth Bueno.
Steven, what a run here tonight. Of course, you're representing the University of Iowa, the Hawkeyes here, and you do it in style from South Florida, taking away this win from Homestead-Miami. But I want to ask you about that fight with Dylan Alt. You guys went at it for a couple of laps. What was the perspective like for you behind the wheel?
Yeah, I honestly felt like I had a little bit of advantage pitting a lap later. I thought I was running a pretty good race. The first run went pretty well, and the second run was even better. So I think, honestly, I was just confident in my pace, and I knew, even with that battle, we had 20 laps to go at that point, so I figured if I just get around him, I think I could just chill and run it out to the end.
And despite that battle, you guys were in it for a while. This race went green all the way to the very end. No signs of caution at all from lap 1 to lap 80. How were you able to play the discipline game and hold on to those tires here at this hot track temp in South Florida while also keeping up with the pace and making sure you can hold off the competition?
Yeah, the first run when we're all in a pack is pretty much just about sitting there. And then at one point, it got at least halfway through the run to where I thought we would be at that point before we pit. And I just moved up and found some grip, and it worked. So, it was all about keeping the tires on. The B cart's pretty fun for that, and I do appreciate the whole field for going green. That makes for a really fun race to be able to see how things play out.
So win here at the virtual Homestead-Miami Speedway, and also some good news. You've got the $3,500 in the prize money for winning tonight's race. I'm sure that's going to go to some great things. And of course, your time at the University of Iowa. Steven, thank you so much for joining us here in the broadcast booth. Wishing you the best of luck for the rest of the Coke Series season and the rest of the college iRacing series moving forward.
Yep. Thank you. Go Hawks.
The Hawkeye gets to victory lane here in South Florida. It is Dylan Alt, though, that comes home in P number 2. And for that, we catch up with our very own Taylor Burris.
Here with the California State University driver of Dylan Alt. Dylan, a great drive for you, but what was it you think you were missing to come out on top against Steven Wilson?
I think I was just missing the amount of effort I put into practice for the race. All I was doing for practice was just hot lapping, make sure I make it into the series, and also Me starting up front, oh my god, I'm sorry, I'm blinking out right now. I forget what I was going to say.
It was something with a little bit of, the driving capability or the driving lines that were on the track?
I just wanted to qualify up front, start up front, and I knew that there was not going to be any passing at all, basically, in the race. So that's what I did. I started up from the front row. And just basically just had to keep my way up front, and I don't know what I did.
Well, we wish you the best of luck at the next round. We're going to go over to James Pike with Tyler Gary from Palm Beach State College.
Florida man comes in with the P3. Tyler, you've had a lot of big races on this service, but what was it like racing with the bright lights on you, the broadcast, and you had some talented drivers around you in that fight for P3, Tucker Minter, Logan Clampitt, Rafuko. What was that like from behind the wheel?
Honestly, it was pretty cool. It's not very often I get a race with some of those guys, and not often I keep up with them too. So honestly, it's pretty special to see that I can do this.
Where does this rank amongst your accomplishments in the sim, and how cool is it to be going home with $2,000 in scholarship money towards your education at Palm Beach State College?
It's probably the biggest thing I've done. I've never won this much money before playing video games, so I think it's pretty awesome that this is going on.
Well, Tyler, congratulations on your podium finish. Enjoy that scholarship money to help fund your education. We look forward to seeing you at the next ENASCAR College iRacing Series event. And we now, gentlemen, turn our attention to our Coca-Cola Move of the Race, which helps form a lot of the storyline in this Logitech G120. We'll get that pulled up in just a few moments for you. But, gentlemen, just a lot of fun to watch this. Really interesting here is now I think we've got to look at our Coke move of the race. So, Kenneth Cueto, here's the move that Stephen Wilson used to put on Dylan Alt to take P1 for good towards the end of this race.
You know, this is the move that cleared him for P1 and set him off for the victory here tonight at Homestead-Miami Speedway, but you also have to know the previous 2 attempts. He kept his foot in it, and he remained patient despite the 2 failed attempts. A lot of drivers mostly would fail in the attempt to pass for position and then try something completely different, but Wilson kept in it, kept in his motive, and that's exactly what gets him to the race lead. Pulled away from there, and he gets his win here from Homestead.
We now move from Homestead-Miami Speedway to another place with a lot of sun in a southern part of the country, but we go to the opposite coast, sunny Southern California. The Virtual Auto Club Speedway in Fontana will be where we head next for the ENASCAR College iRacing Series. That race you'll find on October 18th at 8 p.m. Eastern, and you can see that broadcast live on iRacing's channels on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you want to catch all the eNASCAR College iRacing Series action powered by NASCAR League. You can find it there. A big thanks to our team at iRacing behind the scenes for all the folks that made it happen, and for my partners in the booth, Taylor Burrish and Kenneth Cueto, I am James Punt, saying thank you so much for watching our coverage of the Logitech G120 opening race in the fall for the 2022 eNASCAR College iRacing Series powered by NASCAR League. We look forward to seeing you on October 18th from the Virtual Auto Club Speedway.